Did the U.S. just reveal that alien life exists? WHION. The United States recovered non-human biological pilots from crash. Of course, entertainment tonight. Whoopi Goldberg has always known aliens exist. We got to talk about this because just like everything else, this too has to be revealed. The truth of this has to be educated. And I'm here to set you free. I'm your host, Sam J. Let's get into it. As you guys know, from time to time, I talk about some topics that some may say they're surface level or mystery to paranormal kind of, right? And this particular subject here is no different. And I think it's important to have. It's important to talk about this as well, because for the sake of my brothers and my sisters, you know, for those that's listening, it's important for you guys to understand that any misinformation, any miseducation is a disservice. It's a disservice to the adult, our adulthood, our adult energy, our adult lives. And this is one of those great ones, right? It's a highly invested subject. And it's a very good one, and just to be honest, right? We need these type of conversations, right, in our lives, and it keeps us in one way, it keeps us kind of grounded to our fantasies. But it can become problematic when those fantasies blinds us. So just a few headlines I just mentioned before in intro. Of course, we are now discussing, once again, we are at the highlight of aliens from another galaxy on planet Earth, or UFOs visiting planet Earth. Now, this may get a little lengthy because what I want to do is I want to break some things down from one point to another. And I don't want to keep this very long, but one of my followers asked me, do aliens exist? Talk to me about it, break it down, tell me what you think. What is the uncut truth to this? I told him my personal opinion. But along with telling my opinion, I said, now outside of my opinion, let me first say this. I want to talk about how enjoyable, entertaining, and a great subject to discuss, because it feeds our curiosity when it comes to us as human beings, are we alone in the universe? Once again, this has been a discussion that has been talked about and discussed for decades and decades and decades. But because we're talking about, do aliens exist? What is the highlight that's going on with what the U.S. is discussing? You know, the social media tags that aliens exist. The United States has finally admitted it. And finally, we've got the answer to Area 51, to the curiosity of the whole UFO and Roswell incident. But my brothers and sisters, because everything now has its time of being, as things go viral, what they do is they distract the people, take them away from what they need to see, whether it's something in your personal life or something uh, globally that's going to affect you as well. This has been something that I think is kind of like, it's just like the sightings of Bigfoot. It's great discussing. It's a hot topic to talk about. I'm just as a curiosity fanatic as some of the average, as the average uh, watcher, a person that's curious about these things. But I have also that reality. And the reality is green men, gray men from another galaxy do not exist on planet Earth. Now, the reason this is going to be a tad bit lengthy, because I'm going to talk about, first, let me start with the wordplay that we have going on. Because that's very essential. So, the uncut truth to this is, the United States has not flat out said aliens exist. Green men from outer space exist. Now listen to my words. They have, in none of those hearings that has been going live. So, regardless of what you're seeing on social media, YouTube videos, the narratives that's being created, none of those persons who were, or pilots that were discussing in that forum, none of those guys said anything of that nature. Now, what they did say was, they used a term called uh, non-biologics. So, biologics, right? Non-human biologics is what I remember the guy saying. I want people to understand how essential wordplay is. Words speak value. They mean what they mean. The problem with that is that because words also have different meanings throughout different languages, different cultures, it affects our perception. So The minute someone said not, the minute he said non-human, the average person went to aliens. And so I want to take that word in itself. It just shows you how that is also split. Because alien, in its term, also means anything that is non comparable to human life, mankind life, meaning the biology of man and woman as we know it. It also means foreign, right? It's also, again, it's also dubbed as a term foreign. So, once again, none of those guys ever said the word alien, said non human, biologics, which in the scope of what they're discussing could mean robotic, it could mean, hell, it could be monkeys, okay? Now, I'm just throwing it out there, right? I'm not literally meaning monkeys, but hell, we don't know. Could be, right? Because believe it or not, Hitler was doing that back in the gap. They were testing, uh, trying to test monkeys to first off to be in outer space. Well, that's globally anyway, right? Not just what they was doing in Germany at the time, but if you go and do the research, and what I'm gonna try to do with this one, because I think this is really good. Uh, because finally the truth needs to be told about this. I'm going to collect a lot of links, from things that I have in my vault, and I'm going to share those with this episode as much as I can, as many links as I can, for you guys to, follow. To if you following where I'm getting at, right? You can also follow the links that's going to give you the facts of information of everything that I'm discussing. And uh, and so much more. I mean, you're most likely gonna have way more questions after you look at all the things, look at all the information, right? But let's start with UFOs, right? The term UFO as well is has been misrepresented. The reason they in military and any other uh, political form now, when they talk about it, they don't say UFO anymore because the word UFO has been dubbed and associated with flying salt, uh, the flying saucer that is connected to green men or gray men from outer space in a galaxy. Okay, that is the connection. The average person, when they hear those terms, when they hear that word, that's what they identify it as. That's the fantasy to it. So what the military did and the political parties and positions, they don't use that anymore. They try to keep it, but they try to use it and identify it as, what UFO means is unidentified flying object. Now that was, of course, that was back in the day. Then they moved that term and used it. Now they use UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena or projectile. right? Reason for this. The reason they, you know, do not use the term, well, I just mentioned the reason why they don't use the term UFO anymore when they talk, when they say these things. But of course, mainstream media is going to say that. Mainstream media is going to still use that word. But when you hear them in any political platform or forums, they say UAP. That's the reason why they do that now. Reason is because words mean everything. So now we can, so now the proper identification is, you know, if a military person or someone of that's going to be in a setting to where they are being heard by millions, they are not being coined and termed as saying aliens. But what they're saying is objects that are uh, being flown into the atmosphere or the fly zones or wherever they're being observed, and they are unidentified, which means these things can be anything. They could be any technology that any country has, that anyone has, any nerd has across the planet. They could be any kind of technology. It could be a spy technology. You know, understand, drones are not new things. This stuff is not new. This stuff is not new. It's not yesterday technology. This is technology that they use in the wars, Cold Wars, and the Gulf Wars and stuff. They've been using these tools. But okay, I'm going to get into what UFOs really are a little later. But first, I want to just talk about just debunking the whole idea. Just giving the uncut truth that when you think of UFOs, when you hear these political people, these professionals, and these military guys, you know, in those public settings, I ain't talking about the ones that be on TV. I ain't talking about the ones that's doing either small documentaries on YouTube, or they got these forums that in themselves, and they got their own personal conferences. They have this buzz like they have the whole UFO conferences, the UFO network, and all that kind of stuff. I'm not talking about hobbyists and people who lobby for that fantasy of. I'm talking about grade A generals who are active and and kind of this case in point what we have now, where they have this live briefing that's going on about UAPs. You would never hear any of those guys, any of those people say, we have aliens. You never will say that, because you cannot put them on record for saying that. But however, because they are saying the term flying objects, disc shape, because they're giving these descriptions, you know, UFO lobbyists are going to immediately jump on that bandwagon and saying what they're saying now. But once again, the truth is, green men from outer space, from another galaxy, do not exist. And I'm still kind of seeing some mixed reviews about it, right? But I want to do this episode because as I tried to search for anybody who's saying what I'm saying or what I'm about to say more in detail, nobody. I mean, there's like a handful, uh, and then two, it could be just the algorithm, right? Uh, but there's like a handful of people, no matter what web searches or videos on Daily Motion or YouTube, TikTok. There's only a handful of people I've found that will be in agreement to where I'm about to take you all. So let's start at this other step, and let's talk about why, in my strong opinion, given the evidence we have, that aliens do not exist. There are several things that are obvious, and then of course there are things outside of that people are going to want more evidence, right? So with the more evidence things, I'm going to leave links. You guys can follow those uh, literature work, those science studies, and things like that. Now, those things are going to be kind of pretty broad because they may not say in detail about aliens, but what I'm going to share is just going to be just dynamics of think about our human existence in general. Okay, but one of the obvious things is that when we think about the existence of aliens, we connect them with high powered flying saucer, flying discs that are manipulating time and space, going 100 times faster than the speed of light. And just knowing the idealism and the math of what the speed of light is in general. So let's talk about the 100 times that, right? Amazing. But given the technology of what we're talking about here, or the description of the technology, these are beings who have technology beyond our possibilities, right? According to descriptions, we don't even know how to make this technology. We don't even have the tools necessary to make this technology, right? Let alone for them to be aliens, green men, gray men, tall, short, whatever they describe, however they're described. They're typically only described uh, in 4 or 5 different ways, and that's it. But the overall appearance is typically the same, right? Big head, big eyes, like overhead, big eyes, uh, small lips, sometimes a nose, sometimes not, right? Short or tall, gray, green, you know. Now, what the UFO hobbyists did, you know, in the beginning, they was always described as being green, right? But of course, that kind of changed over the years and the decades, and the reason for that being is as the fantasies we started to become passions, you know, just like with everything, it the idea grows and it adopts new principles. So of course the descriptions have changed over the years and decades. In the 50s they weren't even talking about no tall grays. They weren't saying nothing like that. But now they are, right? Okay. Um, but These features, you know, is commonplace. It's just common, uh, repetitive statements. Repetitive statements from just about everyone who claims to be an observer or a contactee. Keep in mind that we're also talking about technology that us as men not don't even supposed to have. We don't it just defies our logic. You know, defies our technology and our capabilities. But yet we're being visited by an intergalactic species that, in by all counts, when you do the math, when you do the overall picture and the biological comparison from the technology and to themselves, they are more superior to mankind. For God's sakes, they've got energy that is traveling light years, or quote unquote from the moon, right? Dark side of the moon, right? But they are traveling through a galaxy where there's no other life that exists, just beyond the 4 or 5 descriptions that are now 4 or 5 descriptions, right? And apparently there are not hundreds of them. There are not thousands. There may be hundreds, right? Apparently, based off of all of these accounts, and billions of people that's on this planet, there's still only hundreds who have seen it, or have claims to see it, right? To see these beings. Now, uh, the official number is kind of skewed, right? But nonetheless, you have billions of people on this planet, and still the number of people who have witnessed this, just the math of it, don't add. Okay. Nonetheless, that's an argument where, once again, there's a rebuttal to that argument. That argument could be that don't mean nothing, but it does. It absolutely does. You know, uh, here's an intergalactic species who has mastered quantum physics, and yet they want to visit Earth, a planet that, if for a species. So let's think about how our human species have evolved. See, everything on planet Earth is living. Everything that grows is living. Our planet is billions of years old. Organisms on this planet are billions of years old. Think about that. And you think about the evolution of our growth on this planet. It took billions of years for us to even get to the stage we are. And we don't have intergalactic travel, right? We don't have the technology to travel. Hell, the bastards all claim they only went to the moon one time and ain't been back since. You get what I'm saying? But their claim to not going back, right? In the political space, they say because it would cost billions of dollars to do it now. Hell, ain't you get what I'm saying? That's just because yeah, it costs that much now, but that doesn't take away from the same value of the money it was happening that when you went the first time. Because that just means the value of the money was less then because the inflation wasn't as high. The value of certain things wasn't as high. But the money still existed, right? The money is still comparable. But that's another argument that people can come back. But what people cannot dispute is that if aliens from another galaxy existed, with the power and the technology that they have, mankind would not, human life on little planet Earth would not be worth the visit. Why would a intergalactic civilization who is far advanced visit a place that is billions of years behind in advancements compared to its own and study it, right? Why would they visit? Now, that could be argued curiosity. Got you. But keep in mind, we have yet to receive any signals from space, quote unquote, right? But these spaceships are able to come from galaxies away. Only a handful. There's not millions. There's not thousands of them. They're spotty. One or two here and there every time. 5 or 6 here and there every time. You know, out of a race of beings who have mastered intergalactic travel. I don't think, and that's something that we have to sit and think about. Just really put that math in together. This planet has existed for billions of years. We have existed for thousands of years. And still, the advancement from the first organism to develop on this planet to now has been billions of years, and we still don't have the capability. We're not even close, and most likely never will. One of those reasons is the universe isn't what we think it is outside, right? But that talks to why we never went to the moon in the first place. That's another topic. But a race of sentient beings who in essence would have the will should or do have the power to manipulate time. Any race of beings that are that powerful would not be visiting. But in other words, to annihilate and conquer. And they would have been done that by now. They would have been done that. Let alone a race of sentient beings with that kind of power and technology would not be crashing on the goddamn planet Earth. That was the first lie, right? We have to think logically here. We got to think about how advanced the being, that a sentient being, how smart a sentient being has to be that advanced to master quantum physics and travel through time. Because and some people may say, it's not traveling through time. It is. Look up, and this for people who will understand quantum physics will totally understand what I'm getting at. You understand what quantum physics is. To be able to travel the speed of light, 100 times that, to maneuver, to operate, to intergalactically travel through space, given the lack of oxygen, all of those kind of things, the radiation, all of these things combined, and more and more. You know how powerful a sentient being has to be, or would be, will be. This is why Hollywood, when they write the scripts, especially the main big studios, this is why they write the storylines the way they do. Because we absolutely would be at war. Because a sentient being who mankind will be absolutely, they will be superior to us. Well, they are superior to us, right? They will be superior. They will annihilate mankind off the face of the earth with the snap of a finger. Just think alone the atrocities that humankind, that mankind itself, that humans do on a daily basis. Now think about the evil, the history of mankind, the evil things that man have done. Period. Let alone the things they do today now, the individual things, right? From pedophilia to human trafficking, to abuse, to rape, murder, genocide. You don't think a sentinel being or beings that are that powerful to travel, to intergalactically travel, will be, for one, hard to find? We ain't even got to get on the aspect of that every goddamn video they got is grainy as hell. So let's give us our props. Let's talk about the technology we do have today. Shit, yeah, they got away with that shit in the 50s and the 40s. Them grainy ass footages, right? They got away with that stuff in the 60s, 70s. Yeah, they got away with that. 80s, 90s. It's 2023. You can't get. You got video games that are now, like, you can take a look at what they call Unreal Engine 5. You have video games now that play like if you was really there. Virtual reality. But there's Unreal Engine 5 now, where where the game you're playing would look like you're watching a movie. No, matter of fact, better than it would look better than the cinematic. Or if you watch the movie, it would look like as if you were watching a HD live video recording, like somebody recording something live, but you're playing it. We have that advancement in technology now. Now we've been had it, but the point is, we still shouldn't be having grainy ass UFO footage, let alone that we don't have no more footage. Period. Ain't nobody uploading no videos. Now, when I was younger, I used to be a very a very curious about it, and because I've always been curious and been a geek and a nerd about it, I followed this stuff for years and years and years and years and years. And because I'm one of those people that watch everything and I look at everything, I've reached that point where if I see something now, I can tell you if I've seen it before. There's no new footage of any UFOs. There ain't nobody else new talking about they've been abducted. All that shit that was happening, that was talked about, that was coming out back then, that shit happened it happened in time periods. Of course, that was people. Now I'm gonna get into what could those things have been that was going on with those people, right? I'm gonna talk about that. But ain't nobody new talking about they been abducted. Especially not nobody on mainstream, right? Like there's nobody in the popularity of it being a popular thing. And it hadn't been in the last 20 years. You may every now and then, and even back then when it was when it was so called going on. Stories of being contacted by a race of Sentinel beings who have the power and the technology to interstellar travel. Proof is in the pudding, the lack of recordings, the lack of visibility, the lack of contactees. You know, like people been claiming these things, but the sheer numbers do not match up to the strength of the capabilities of these sentient beings. Let alone, we hadn't talked about no other organisms outside of green men or gray men. Okay? Once again, let's take our evolution for example. There are millions, billions, trillions of organisms living on this planet. I'm talking about from microorganisms to, everything that grows is living. So don't you think if there's a sentient being that travels galaxies, that's traveling the speed of fucking light, don't you think there will be other organisms other than just green men or gray men? Let alone, why would they be harboring on Earth? Why would they be kicked back and chilling and relaxing on a planet that is light years slower than it, they would have no interest in planet Earth because their evolution would have already evolved past that billions of years ago. And we got to think about that. They have no other organism, or they have no other organisms living. No animals. They don't have no dogs, no cat, no alien dogs, no alien cats, no nothing. Nothing coming with them other than just them. Nah, impossible. Now I am gonna hit on something. I would say this: if gray men, gray aliens, gray men, green aliens, if they do exist, they did not come from outer space. They would have to already been here on planet Earth. Period. They would have to have the same cognitive development as human beings, meaning they advanced just as slow as the fuck we did. There's no way they are traveling interstellarly and have not taken over the planet. Is they are not doing no treaties with a humankind that is weaker than them. Do we get it? We conquer each other over bread. And I'm saying bread, but you get the context of what I'm saying. Mankind has created genocide and all kind of shit to people on this planet Earth. Things that have been recorded through history of what we doing and have been doing to each other or doing to other races. White men would not have been in power as long as they have been. They will not be the authors of the master manipulations. Aliens will be. They will be the authors of the mass manipulation. And see, when there was people like myself that would expose these facts, then that's when the stories started changing from little green men, and then it started going to, you know, well, to shapeshifters and lizard people and all this kind of shit. You know, they started doing that because they had to. The story had to evolve. But if green men existed outer space, they would have the power of an entire galaxy. Their energy, the energy that they would have would be so powerful that even when they existed, even if they were visiting, if they were doing these things, it would make the radiation from their crafts will literally kill people. It will kill the humans that come in contact with it just because of the technology of it. How it, and when I mean the technology, I'm talking about the energy that it would take that it takes to interstellar travel. It will be just like an entire cosmic force coming into Earth atmosphere. You know, it's just like when you watch the comics, right? And or you watch movies like Transformers, and they have like these interstellar beings that are like planets, and they eat other, like a Galactus is a great one, and his whole entire uh, superpower is just he's a world eater. That's what would happen. That's what would have been happening the first time any kind of spaceship would have came to Earth. But these things have been fascinations ever since mankind could walk, talk, because it's human nature to seek outside itself. Because there's a beauty in it. You know, because it is absolutely scary to dissect our reality that what mankind is doing and has been doing, that this is the end all. This is destruction. And we're heading for destruction, always will. And just like just like in the evolution's process, what is first becomes last, and what is last becomes first. This planet is the sustainable planet. For and for the religious people, for those who believe in religion so tough, don't you think that the first words in Genesis would talk about aliens? I ain't talked about always is in there. I ain't talked about those hints of chariots from the gods. I ain't talked about that because there will be no way that the scriptures would start with humanoids or humankind or mankind, or even in the process when it talks about God creating space. Before Adam's name is even fucking mentioned, a sentient being that is billions of years, light years ahead of Adam's age, will be one of the first things talked about. Now, some may argue that Genesis ain't the first book. Hey, I I I ain't here to dispute that. My point is that for the religious people who believe in aliens, just take that in context. Because for those religious people, they take the story of Adam as being the first truth. So just swallow that. Just swallow that in itself. But everything else, I'm gonna leave links to where you guys can watch videos, you know, listen to other scholars that have talked about certain things. Now, the links that you're going to see, all of them are not going to be, or not, or going to say aliens don't exist. Because, like I said, there's only a handful of people that I see talk about it. And I don't know why that is, but I take the psychology of it is that, once again, it's just like with any other, it's just like with cryptoids, like Bigfoot, Loch Ness monsters. as humans. We need though these things keep us, you know, they keep our minds kind of going, you know, because it would be scary to think that the only life that exists in our universe is us. But the problem with that mindset is that we're not. Everything that grows is a living organism. Everything that grows is living. Everything that grows. Think about it. You got things that you don't see with the naked eye that's growing around you like dust mites, stuff like that. Microbes of organisms. But this is it, guys. Terrifying, yeah, it is. Now, I gotta apologize for running this kind of lengthy, but I think this is one of those conversations that need to it deserves to be it deserves to have this link to it, right? Because the goal here is not to change someone's mind overnight about their belief or their belief in aliens. Once again, when we talk about aliens, we're talking about the human construct of what the average person thinks of is interstellar sentient beings coming from outer space. It's not to change your mind overnight, but it is for us to think critically, use our heads to think critically about things, because when we think critically, we begin to see the world around us for what it truly is, the beauty of it, the strength in it, the power in who we are as human beings. See, the reason why a lot of things don't get changed, don't get done, because we truly believe that we are, there's generations of us who think that that we're meant to be docile, or that we're meant to be uh, uh, controlled, or uh, operate in a certain way, and we don't believe in manifestations. We don't believe that our that energy is all around us. We don't believe in waves of energy. We don't believe in vibrations. You know, Not realizing that the uncut truth is that we are the extraterrestrials. We harness the energy. We have energy. We possess the very thing that we're put in our imaginations. It's us. And that's the reason why we imagine those things, because they come from us. We are it. Now, quickly, I'm going to recap kind of my position. And that's just to say that if aliens from another planet existed, the power that they would have, the advancement in technology that they have, would have overtaken Earth's process, development, and everything decades ago, hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, billions of years ago. Because once again, these sentient beings will be billions of years ahead in their technology, their advancements in weaponry, their advancements in colonization, all of the above. We us right now talking about it we wouldn't even be existing right now to talk about it and communicate about it and create these fantasies. Let alone the biggest thing of all is that with their development, their advancements in technology and their biological developments, they will not look the way we that Hollywood described them to be. It will not look like that. It will not look like green men or tall grays with big heads. The biological advancements to interstellar travel, they once again, let's use ourselves as an example, as a compass, as a canvas. Look at us. Look where we are advanced and have advanced. And we are billions of light years behind what the technical capabilities that UFOs have been recorded to do. Now, when it comes to UFO technology, that technology existed over hundreds of years. The ability to have flying saucer uh, capabilities like we have now rose when the World War World War was going on. And with this information, you will find in a lot of the KGB files, a lot of files associated with scientists, United Nations scientists, and scientists dealing with uh, Hitler, the technology and things that uh, nations overseas were involved in. But the biggest thing of all is understanding renewable energy, understanding quantum physics, understanding solar energy, understanding nuclear energy. Like, though these are things alone that when you take each one of those things and you uh, brief yourself up and learn about the technology of it, the how, what, when, and where, you begin to compare the A, B, C, and D's of all that information, and you will learn. You will come to a a genesis, a new beginning of what was really going on and what has been going on in the laboratories, in the scientific laboratories of like Department of Defense, Military of Defense, Area 51s, and the other area uh, military bases that exist, right? These, my conclusion with UFOs uh, is that they're energy weapons. They're drones and they're energy weapons. They're nuclear. They are powered nuclearly, and this is not a hypothesis. This is a fact. Tesla knew the technology. The Rockefellers know all this technology. They stole it. You know what I'm saying? Um, You can look up those names, Von Braun, look up the military um, saucers that Russia had doing, that they was trying to deploy, trying to develop, but could never get it off could never get the technology off the ground to do what they wanted to do, just all because it was never a part of being like a war machine to a degree, but more so like energy interference. But once again, you can check all of this stuff out, and I got a real good one to break that down for you. Uh, so I'm gonna throw out so one channel I'm gonna mention that I think everyone will love. Any enthusiast. There's a channel called the Wi-Files on YouTube. Check that out, and I love that channel. He covers just about anything you can think of. The beauty with that channel, what I love is that he's very uh, that team of the team of guys and gals. They do their research. They take every information that's out there. They compile them, put it together, and they deliver. Not they don't give all the facts, because again, to get to exploit all facts, I mean, you can talk for hours when you do that, because people need to see from A to Z, and for people to understand it, it takes real time information, like seeing just seeing it. But everything they discuss, they take the facts of what they discuss and they deliver that information. Um, the channel is real well written, and they're very smart about how they deliver their information, where they very objectify with the certain things, but they don't make statements or claims. Okay. uh, but what they do is the statements and claims are actually is in the narrative, but you got to be you got to be on top of it, like you got to watch it. But once you watch it, I'm telling you, you got to watch it. Then you pay attention to everything that's being said and what's not being said, and what's being said and how it's being said, and then you can come to your own conclusion with that. But uh, he covers a lot of UFO stuff, and even with his channel, you would never hear him say this exists, that exists. What he will do, he will cover all majority of the UFO stuff that has happened, and he will give you the information to show you how those people, they was either back shit crazy or they was lying altogether. And you know, but what I won't say, what I can say, when I can say that has all that's been true, is that the mystery that surrounds the secrecy of this technology is astonishing. The secret surrounding what people are experiencing is astonishing, because it has been a very well kept secret. But the reason for it being kept as secret is because the manipulation of the truth of it. Because if you keep people looking somewhere else, if you keep everybody looking left, you will never have them looking right. Even for those people who are middle of the road, the people on the left got those people in the middle of the road afraid to speak out about where they at in the middle of the road, because everything has become so objectifiable to the point to where if you say something, someone now wants to call you a hater or a liar, or you this and that third, because you made the statement or claim. even with even with this video, I can't wait to hear the comments because I know the comments are gonna be about stay sleep, stay woke, this all stay sleep, but it only will prove my point even further, you know, because the things I mentioned, you can't argue those facts. You can not not agree with it, right? You can not. I mean, when I mean not agree, right? You cannot agree with what the what the could be of it, but you can't explain it any differently than that. Just using a mod, like I said, just using our humanistic model of life and how we have developed, how we operate. Anything above our capabilities is far advanced enough to destroy us immediately. And they would not be cutting deals. They would not be shape shifting in the White House. They would have no need for that. They wouldn't need our resources. If anything, our world will most likely be a pollutant. They, our world will be way too toxic. And I'm just talking about just from our personal, just our existence in general would be toxic to them. The environment would be toxic. They would not be able to be in our space for a very long time. Or they would have destroyed us billions of years ago. We wouldn't even exist. But for some people who is going to appreciate this last statement, and that is the possibility of extraterrestrial life existing lies in us. If anything, we are the biological existence of extraterrestrial or any alien life. We will be it. But hey, once again, I'm your host, Sam J. I'm going to leave some links in the description. Uh, I may even do a part 2 to this one because there's more that I can add. I can talk about, discuss, and that would be just the UFO technology in general, uh, the evidence of Hitler having this technology and how they stole this technology from a lot of engineers, and during that time, just the whole diabolical process of things that was happening back then. And what what UFO technology really is. Uh, but once again, getting into that, I would have to start connecting the dots with some of the other technology that we have, or we have had, have been using against humans, and all of that. Uh, but let alone, uh, um, just kind of adding to that. Now I know one good question that may be asked is, what about the people's experiences? Well, what have the people actually been experiencing uh, and seeing? What about the children that have seen it? And so what I want to clear up is that there's no doubt that the aerial phenomena exist. They're just not from another planet. You get what I'm saying? They're not green men driving these crafts. They are crafts that are technology, that are man-made, have been made, nuclear powered, and they are being operated by militaries across the globe. The sightings vary, the types vary, but not by that much. Every video that you've been seeing that been, all the videos that have been capturing these things have been fake. Well, just about all, right? Uh, Especially the ones where you see the 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 extreme speed. Those are all hoaxes. Um, but once again, you should know that, we know that. I mean, because at the same time, that's the whole purpose of all of them being blurry. It's hard to decipher 100% fact of the actual existence. But what you can prove is the manipulation through uh, special effects, and you can disprove disprove the videos themselves, and you can prove editing potentials uh, in just about every footage you can find. And many people have already done that. But you won't catch no one hardly saying that they don't believe extraterrestrial life exists. But I get it. I understand. Some people may fear, it's the propaganda behind, this, that, and the third. But uh, nonetheless, I may do a second one. Uh, just let you guys let me know if you want to hear the second or my part two, because I can go in a lot more depth, and I can talk about what the people are actually experiencing when it comes to them. Are they really seeing green men, or are these things? Is this a manipulation of the mind due to the vibrations and the uh, energy that is being uh, manifested against on the people as they are seeing these structures or these items or these things, how these things are affecting people's consciousness? But I'll leave y'all with that, and talk to you later. This is your host, Sam J, Uncut Truth for Urban Nation.